Usually the process of writing a book goes a little something like this: idea, drafting, editing, more editing, production, and publication. But in some rare occasions, sometimes the book itself is the last thing on a would-be author's list of priorities. For one Central California author, her book came after establishing herself as a life coach and a podcast host. I'm your host, Garrett K. Jones, and for the final episode of both Author Awareness August 2022 and Season 4, I'm interviewing Fresno author Lisa Autry. Happy Saturday and welcome to my channel. If you're new, glad to have you, and if you're a returning viewer, glad to have you back. You can become a channel supporter through Patreon and the merch store. Both are going to be linked down in the video description, and of course I'll talk more about those options towards the end of the video. Now, the fastest, the easiest, and the coolest way to support what we do here is by becoming a subscriber. So make sure to click the subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications on new videos whenever they're released. We are now on the last episode of Author Awareness August, and this has been a great year for the interviews. Last week's episode with Ruby Carlson was a great addition to this year's playlist because it is this really first time that I've had the opportunity to speak with someone writing a series of memoirs. Now, if you didn't get a chance to watch last week's video, I have it tagged right up here, and it will be linked at the end of this video. Finally, today is the fourth live stream from my library lecture series. I will be broadcasting live from the Kings County Library in Hanford, California, and I will be doing a discussion on character creation and development with an emphasis on writing hero and protagonist, as well as villain and antagonist characters. I would love for you to join me for that event. The broadcast will go live on Instagram at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I connected with this week's interviewee again through Central Valley Talk. Lisa hosts a life coaching segment on that channel that mirrors her podcast, but I'll let her do the majority of the talking. Given the content of Lisa's work, I really hope that you get a lot out of it because I know I did, and it was really helpful. Thank you for joining me, Lisa. So pleased to have you here. So tell me about your work and what it is that you write and what you do.
Thank you for having me, Garrett. Well, I like to say I'm a lifelong author, but really it stems from being a lifestyle and a process efficiency expert and coach. So I help women organize their home routine finances. That's what I call the 3 pillars of success to be successful. And I help specifically millennial moms control the chaos in their lives. And so I always like to say I'm an author, but it really has stemmed from being a coach, and I help moms because nothing is more chaotic than being a parent, and I'm a parent to 2 little girls myself. So being able to run a business out of your home, being able to have a tidy home always, and being able to control the chaos while rising to your best self has always been very interesting to me and kind of what my focus of authorship is.
Let's talk about the 3 pillars. You said they're what are they again?
Home, routine, and finances.
Okay, so how do you break them down?
So what I found as I developed what's called the intentional transformation. So we know that we can be successful with anything in our lives if we get these 3 things under control: the home, your routine, and your finances. These are typically the 3 greatest areas of stress and struggle in anyone's life. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, because Our home is our haven, right? Or it's just a huge sense of chaos. Our routine is either holding us back or allowing us to be our best selves. And then our finances, either, we're struggling and drowning, or else we're swimming and, being really successful with it. So what I noticed when I've been an entrepreneur for 10 years now, and I've been coaching women for about 5. And I really started to change my trajectory of who I was working with during COVID. I was interviewing a lot of different women-owned businesses, and the things that all of them were struggling with were home routine finances, whether they had children or not. And I started to put kind of this intentional transformation into play. And I was like, okay, if you can get your home in order, you can get routine in order, and you can get your finances in order. As a byproduct, you are happier, more fulfilled. You also have more time and energy for your health and all of these other aspects of our lives. We have better boundaries. We have, we are able to connect more in relationships. And so what I started doing is I started getting women through the Diaries, which is my corporation. I started coaching women on this intentional transformation. And if we can have a tidy home, if we can have systems within our routine, and we get our finances in order to where they're more controlled, and we are on our route to financial freedom, really anything is possible. And those are 3 great areas of stress. And so that's why I really focus in on them. I help people with business systems. My degree is in finance and entrepreneurship. So I help people put process systems in their business and all that stuff, but I really shine with the 3 pillars of success because it's something that everyone struggles with.
Obviously, the podcast is kind of the primary method for communicating what you do and how you coach. How did you convert that into writing? How did that become the basis? Was there a part of you that always wanted to write a book, or was it just kind of something that was a natural progression of what you do?
So it's funny, Garrett, because I actually did it backwards. I wrote my book first, then I released my podcast. And like I say, I've been a writer my whole life. I was published for a few creative works when I was young. And I always, on my bucket list, if you look, I wrote my bucket list when I was 9 years old. How morbid is that? But I wrote a bucket list, and on there, number 3 was become a published author before the age of 40. Why I picked 40, I don't know. I'm 33, so I did it. I published when I was 33. It was on my 33rd birthday that we went through publication. But I always knew that my heart lie in writing, but life happens, and I went in the business route instead. So I used my analytical brain throughout college, and I went to the corporate world, and then I became an entrepreneur, and I really help women with finances and coaching, all these different things. And what I noticed was not everyone has access to me to pay me for my services. And I feel like what I did is I packaged up this beautiful intentional transformation. And I'm like, man, what is there a way? Like, my goal, my mission in life is to change a million women's lives. And the reason for that is if I can change a million women's lives, they can change their children's lives. And when I send my daughters out into the world, and we know the world isn't such a great place right now, if I can positively impact it, I'm sending my daughters off knowing I did what I could for the world. And I'm sending them confidently out into the world. And I wanted to do the same thing for women so that they, a more confident woman is a more confident mother. And the intentional transformation takes you through that. And so I decided, I was like, I'm going to sit down. I talk about these things every single day. And I was invited to write the foreword of a book during COVID for a friend. She wrote a book about mom guilt, and she asked me to write the foreword, and I edited the book for her. And then my mom read it, and she was like, Lisa, now it's time for you to publish your book. And I'm like, what would I even write about? And she's like, the things you talk about every single day. And so I decided, I was like, you know what? I woke up, so I'm a lion, so I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. And I woke up and I was like, man, you know what? Okay, if I can come up with an outline and some really good prompts, then I'll write a book. And so literally in 15 minutes, I created the whole outline of what's now called the Real Mom's Playbook. And I was like, okay, all right, let me just write a chapter and see how it goes. And then before long, I had a whole manuscript. And so I had to find a hybrid publisher because I wanted to retain all of the rights to it. But it was interesting because what I do translated into a book that now a woman can pay, for the hardcover, she can pay $24 for it and change her whole life versus paying me $5,000 to work with me one-on-one, and I still can make that impact. And then from there, I've been asked to release a podcast for years. And I'm like, what would I release a podcast about? And I'm like, well, I literally could take the book and I could release a podcast based on it, expanding on it. So then I was like, so I had rules like I always do. I'm a process efficiency expert. I'm like, I'm going to make it worth my while. Only if I get 4 sponsors to cover the cost of all this equipment will I do it. And then literally I got them in 3 days. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing a podcast. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I called my vision producer. I was like, you do podcasts. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, do I record it on my phone? She's like, this is what you need to do, A, B, and C. So from there, I created a podcast. And now we have 6 episodes now, and it's going so well. And now a woman can, for $24 and for a few hours in a week. And I made my book very short for a reason, because a busy mom doesn't have time to sit and read a novel. So I had to make it quick, action-oriented goals for her to execute. And, and then she can listen to the podcast to reiterate and expand, because we're always learning more. I wanted someone to be able to learn and really capture the action. And, a book is only as good as what people do with it. And I'm a very action-oriented person. So I want to create action-oriented success for women's lives. So not podcast, then book, but coaching, book, and then podcast. This is like a huge lifelong process I've gone through. It's only taken 33 years.
So now you said something just a moment ago. You were talking about writing the foreword for your friend's book on mom guilt. What's mom guilt?
So
because I'm a dad, because I have no idea what mom guilt is. I just know what it means to feel guilty when my mom blames me for stuff.
Well, you have dad guilt.
Okay.
No, mom guilt. She wrote the book called Good Moms Don't, and her name is Alicia Lyons. And it's really, society is really good about making all of us really feel less than in our role in life. Mm-hmm. And what she talks about is, a good mom doesn't do this, but in reality, this. And so what was really interesting about her book is she's helping with the myths and then the truths of motherhood, so that you can be more confident in your role as a mom and not be like, oh, well, I wasn't with them today. Now I'm going to feel guilty about that. Or I was cleaning the house when they wanted me to play. I'm not good enough because I didn't say yes to them. And so, you'll deal with it too as being a dad. I'm working. I should be with my son. All of these little things. And it's really a societal thing. If you can't do it all, and I talk about this in my book, if you can't do it all, then you're not going to be happy in your life. And when in the reality is, when you're leading with your top 5 value system, the things that are most important to you, you're successful. You're going to be happy. You're going to be fulfilled. Stop trying to live someone else's life of woulda, shoulda, couldas, right? Yeah.
Obviously, you've talked about some of your inspirations. You wanted to go in for success, and you wanted to be able to, you set goals for yourself, which you've obviously achieved, which is pretty
I only
impressive.
Started at 9 years old. It only started at 9. So
well, it hasn't been a full 33 years yet.
No, that's true.
It's only been 24.
Yeah. I'm winning then.
Yes. Excellent. So what has been the hardest part or the biggest challenge in the creation of what you've done? Obviously, you had some questions about what it was that you were going to talk about in the book and what you want to do in the podcast. Obviously, kind of building your brand is definitely a challenge. What are some of those bigger challenges that you've faced over the last few years?
Well, we're in a society where we're hit with thousands of bits of information, best tips, best practices every single day. And it's so hard to break through in the market and say, if you lead with this, you can have all the other things you want in life. And so getting people to understand there is a right way to do things, and really getting your brand, getting your identity out there, getting your content out there for people to say, wow, I hate the word hot mess mom. And I literally debunk hot mess mom in my book, because it's such a hot button word right now. You know what? I'm a mess, and that's a good thing. And there's not to say that chaos isn't in our lives, but also when you lean into that, you're foregoing all of your potential. You're foregoing the legacy you desire to create for yourself and your children. And it doesn't mean it's not going to be messy. My life is messy every single day, but I don't consider myself a hot mess mom because I'm leading with my value system. I'm leading with the most important things. So the greatest challenge is getting women and mothers to step outside their excuses and say, you know what, I'm going to make some changes. And then just really breaking through in the market as an author, as a writer, to say, here I am, on a shelf. I'm not in Barnes & Noble yet, but that's where I hope to be, and Target and everything. And, here I am, and this is why you need me. Your systems can be your success, but if you don't have those systems, if you're literally just flying by the seat of your pants, you're going to struggle. And we all use this excuse of, oh, you know what? After we get done with potty training, it's gonna be less crazy. After we get done with this, it's gonna be crazy. That craziness, that chaos is never going to go away until you address the foundational issues. Yeah. And when we look at our foundational issues, like your value system, like your home, your routine, your finances, your health, these are the things that we need to really devote time and attention to so that we can get out of that mantra of chaos. Like that just drives me crazy. And that's really been a society buzzword lately, right? Oh, it's hot mess. It's fun to be a hot mess. And we shouldn't try for anything more. Mediocrity suits us, not to say a simple life. Like I love a simple life. I think that is the most important way to live because you're leading with the things you love. But, just using our excuses really holds us back.
We're just about wrapping up. So how can people get a hold of your podcast? What platforms can they find you on? And then how can people get a hold of your book?
Okay, so you can go to thedaughterdiary.com to access everything. You can go and access my podcast there, my book, my community, any of my services. So if you want to do Kick the Clutter, if you want to become the queen of your routine, if you want to get fit with finances, those are all the little programs that I offer. Or if you want to get into the Real Moms Tribe, you can go and get support every single day. The best place to get a hold of me is thedaughterdiary.com for all of those things. And my podcast is on Spotify. It's on Castbox as well as Apple Podcast. And then I am most active, although I have a social media manager. So if you DM me, it takes a while, but you can get a hold of me on Instagram at The Daughter Diaries. And you can email me at info@thedaughterdiary.com. I'm also on TikTok, but I've got like 3 videos on there. So that's not the best place to get a hold of me. I'm like technologically illiterate. So as you see me pop into these forums, it takes a while for me to gain momentum. We got a really big following of, almost 11,000 on Instagram because I've been doing that for many, many years. And you can kind of get snapshots and we provide tips and tricks. And then if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, and then my book is on Amazon, The Real Mom's Playbook by Lisa Autry.
Awesome. Well, Lisa, thank you very much for coming on the show. It's been great having you.
Thank you.
And I think this is a great wrap up for Author Awareness August.
Awesome. I can't wait. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. If you're interested in connecting with Lisa through her social media, tuning into her podcast, or if you're interested in collecting a copy of her book, those links can all be found down in the video description. Happy reading. Hey, thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. If you'd like to support this channel, you can do so on Patreon through one of 3 affordable support plans. Patrons get access to blooper reels, behind-the-scenes videos, and so much more. You can also buy sweet merch from my store on Teespring, which you can then turn around and rep on Instagram and Twitter by tagging me at GKJ_publishing and using the hashtag 5kingdomsmerch. Or you can sign up for the free poster giveaway. All links are down in the video description. And of course, I will announce a winner when I hit 200 YouTube subscribers. I'll see you guys in 1 month when Season 5 launches. Until then, see ya. vlog of the Five Kingdoms is filmed without the use of a live audience at Skyrocket Studios in Hanford, California. We can't do what we do without your help, so please make sure to subscribe by clicking the button that's above my head, and make sure to watch and share the videos over here to my left. Have a great week.